Hello, biology students. Um, Today we're going to go over the first little part of the biology text. So in this first exploration one, the first part of your textbook here, it goes over some basic concepts about what systems are and system models. This is a very important concept because we cover it a lot over the course of the year. Okay, so they give you a really simple explanation here of what a system is, and it's a set of interacting components considered to be distinct entity for a purpose of study of understanding. Okay, so that's the technical term. So I give you the example of the cell phone. Cell phone is a great example of a system because it has many parts that have specific jobs and specific functions that work all together to perform a task. What cell phones do. Okay, so we have what we call inputs and outputs in the system. Okay, so inputs are things that are going into the system. Okay, so examples are energy and matter or information in some context. All right, and these inputs are being used or transformed into what we call outputs. And outputs are generated when the inputs are processed in some way. Okay, so open and closed systems. For the context of Earth, Earth is pretty much a closed system. We're the third planet from the sun, revolving around, our sun, which is our star in the solar system, right? There's not too much stuff coming into our system other than energy from the sun. Okay. Most systems here on planet Earth are what we call open. Okay. Now, moving on to the next part here, you have a system of controls. All right. So controls are ways that these systems are regulated. Okay. Some controls operate on a concept called feedback. Okay. Now, feedback is information from one step of a cycle that acts to change the behavior of another cycle. A great example here is the thermostat in your house. Okay. So if you have a thermostat in your house, it works. You set it on a specific temperature. And once the temperature gets above that, right, the air conditioner comes on, right, to lower the temperature back below that desired temperature. If it goes below, then maybe the heater will kick on too in order to raise the temperature. Okay. A lot of systems in biology work on the concept of feedback. Take, for instance, your blood sugar. Okay. Let's say you get hungry, your blood sugar drops, right? And in order to raise your blood sugar, there's information that's sent to your brain that says, hey, your blood sugar is low, it's time to eat. So they trigger another response that says, your stomach starts growling or your mouth starts salivating. And then there you go, right? You go eat something, and then all of a sudden your blood sugar goes up. Now, if you eat too much sugar or too much food, your blood sugar can get too high. And once that happens, the body senses that and then releases insulin to lower your blood sugar, right? And so this is a great example of feedback system in your body. All right, so let me scroll down here. So in this course, you're going to be using a lot of models, okay, to represent things. So technically, a model is a pattern, a plan, or a representation or description designed to show the structure or working of an object, system, or concept. Okay, so you should be very familiar with models, right? Here's a model of the DNA, right? So this is a physical model. When researchers were trying to figure out what the genetic components were inside the cell, when they were looking at all these different discoveries that contributed to the discovery of DNA, right? One of the biggest things that allowed them to have this major breakthrough was by making a physical model. Okay, we'll learn more about that in the future. Conceptual models. So like a diagram or a flow chart that shows like the order in which things proceed. You guys will be making these this year. Mathematical models. There are lots of mathematical models that apply to biology for like population growth is a big one, right? So simulations. Some of your A-level projects this year will be simulations as well. So you can make a computer simulation to represent something, okay? All right, so all these models are beneficial to us because we can't see things biologically speaking all the time. So we have to come up with different ways for us to understand these things and to communicate them in the course of biology. All right. Now, we can skip here. So scroll down here. Now, you guys should read all this stuff. I'm just skimming over it right now, but in summary, the systems of biology is very complex. Okay, it's lots of components here. Okay, we're going to be spending a lot of time going over these throughout the course of this year. All right, and we'll move over to exploration 2. Now, exploration 2 is the systems in the Earth, right? Which is kind of important because, as far as we know, Earth is the only place in existence that has life as we know it. All right. And so this is kind of a big deal. I hope you would agree because, you're one of them. All right. So the Organization for Earth Systems, we have what's called the biosphere. Biosphere is where living things live, right? And the biosphere has 3 major components, right? The atmosphere, the hydrosphere, and the geosphere. Okay, the geosphere is terrestrial land areas where you have soil, you have rocks, living things that are growing in the soil. Okay, the atmosphere, there's living things in the atmosphere too. Lots of microorganisms that live in the atmosphere, right? Very very important, excuse me. These microbes like yeast, that are found in the air, responsible for making all kind of food products. All right, so there's living things obviously in the water, the hydrosphere, both fresh and salt water. Okay, so we can get down here to the organization of the biosphere. Now, here's your first assignment of the year is to make a mnemonic device that represents the organization of the biosphere. Okay, so the ecosystem is what we call, it includes all of the non-living and living things or organisms in a given area. So the ecosystem is the living and the non-living things. So non-living things would constitute as the climate, the soil, water, and rocks. These things are not living, but they're very important to living things. If we can't grow plants on top of rocks. So soil is kind of important, right? Climate is too. If the climate is too hot and dry, you don't have a lot of vegetation there, okay? So the organisms of the same species live in the same area, make up a population, right? These populations make up a different community, and communities exist in larger systems called biomes. Okay, here's a graphic. Here's a little model that represents this organization. So down here you have the crocodile. The crocodile is an individual organism. Okay, and this crocodile is a species in a population of crocodiles. Okay, not crocodiles. This is Florida, so it's alligators. Excuse me. All right, so within this community where these alligators live, you have other organisms like this herring, these hawks, these different types of birds. You have a little turtle here. So all these different organisms that are living in the same area make up the community, right? And the communities the next step up of those is the ecosystem, okay? So the ecosystem is the greater area of several different communities within like a larger area, okay, like a country or a state, okay? And you have the biomes, which you probably studied many, many times, right? Here the South Florida region, we would call this the biome of actually the tropics. Okay, but right up north of that, we would call this the temperate zone. Okay, so there's several different biomes, but all these biomes have similar climate, similar vegetation, similar weather patterns. Okay, and the last organization is the biosphere. Okay, so your assignment is to make a mnemonic device to help you remember all of these levels of organization from organism to biosphere. All right, so you can create a mnemonic device that represents organism, population, community, ecosystems, biomes, and biosphere. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different things. Okay. Now, a mnemonic device is a very good what we call memory tool that helps you remember ideas, phrases, uh, anything that you need to remember. You can make a mnemonic device for, essentially. Okay, so a good technique is to make something that's silly and memorable, right? Or something that rhymes, right? Or something that has like a similar, like an alliteration or something like that. So you're going to create your own mnemonic device that will help you remember the order of these, or the organization here of these different ecosystems. Okay, so you can make this mnemonic device. You're going to then make a visual representation of your mnemonic device, such as a graphic organizer, a poster, or something of your choice. Okay, so you have to visualize your mnemonic device that you create. Okay, so the instructions are on the Schoology page for that. Last thing here is the technical terms for the parts of the ecosystem that are living and non-living. Okay, so the living components are what we call biotic factors. Okay, so these are all the living things in the ecosystem. Okay, non-living components of the ecosystem are abiotic factors. So the non-living things like oxygen, water, rocks, these things are important components of the ecosystem, but they're not living. Okay, so last part here talks about homeostasis. Okay, and this is those of you who've been at QSI for a few years now, you've probably heard this word so many times. You know, you heard me say it till I'm blue in the face. But it's a big concept that we have to be sure that we get. So this refers to one of the A-level assignments here. So homeostasis is the maintenance of a constant internal condition of an organism. In other words, organisms have to adjust to their environment. So they have to change in order to live where they are. Okay. So if you've been to school recently, you notice that the tree has been chopped down in front of the school there over the summer due to the construction. And they put up these little birdhouse looking things there. Well, if you take a real close look at that tree, you notice that even though it's been cut down to the stump, it is now starting to sprout new branches from the stump. That tree is trying to maintain homeostasis, right? It got chopped down, right? This is a big deal. It's the tree is in danger of dying. So the tree is trying its best to stay alive, right? And how it does that is going to make some new branches, right? And those branches are going to have leaves, and those leaves are going to do photosynthesis, and it's going to be able to maintain the tree to be alive. Okay, so the great example here that I gave is that the A level here is about the Venus flytrap. So this is an A level topic. So I'll let those of you who are going to do that address that with that assignment. Okay. All right. So that's it for now. Please work on your graphic organizer and upload that to Schoology. Okay. The due date for that is the 10th, which is today. All right. Good luck.